TCI is brought to you by Spendthrift Farm, home of Into Mischief, a brilliant Grade 1 winning juvenile by Harlan's Holiday.
Welcome back to TCI, your inside track to the Breeders' Cup. Alongside Joel Cunningham, I'm John Siegel. Well, Joel, another Breeders' Cup in the books. It's been a lot of fun following these horses. You know, I wanted to ask you, what do you think was your most impressive performance for Friday's card?
I think it was definitely Beholder's win in the distaff, John. It was the most competitive race on the card and the biggest race of the card. But for her to answer that question authoritatively of 1 1/8 miles, we know she loves that racetrack, but I really question whether she could take the heat going 1 1/8 miles against these type of fillies and finish the way that she did. When you look at her pedigree and how brilliant she is, boy, did she prove me wrong. In that final 3/8 of a run, when she ran by Authenticity, you see her here finishing with Gary Stevens, just winning all by herself in here. Royal Delta, I don't think she fired her best race again, John. I think she tailed off at the end of the year, but she's had such a long and valiant campaign through the years. I'm not surprised by that, but still, the way that she put Authenticity away and just cleared this field, what an impressive race. And she got the biggest brisk number of the entire Breeders' Cup weekend, a 112. I know speed was playing at Santa Anita on Friday, but still, the fact that Beholder was able to settle off the pace and power home the way she did over that group, you had to be impressed with that effort at 1 1/8 miles, a 112 brisk number. Wow.
And I'll tell you what I'm excited about. We spoke with B. Wayne Hughes at Keeneland. He said, guys, that was so much fun. We're coming back next year, so we're going to get to see Beholder racing again next year at Santa Anita. That's going to be exciting.
Well, good for them. I mean, kudos to the connections there. Mr. Hughes put so much into the game. For him to have a special filly like this, it's unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't want to stop the ride either. The Breeders' Cup, as you mentioned, is at Santa Anita again next year. She does not lose at Santa Anita, John. So as long as they keep her right, I tell you what, I really think she would have run all along. I thought if she would have run in the Filly Mare Sprint, she would have won that. And I still feel that way. I mean, Groupie Doll, say what you will about her performance. I think Beholder is the best filly in the country now from 7 to 9 furlongs. Incredible.
All right, real quick, give me Saturday's best performance for you.
Saturday's best performance was Magician, John, in the turf. I really love the way that this colt, I mean, you consider what he's done. I mean, he's a son of Galileo, so he's well-bred. But look at the confidence of the connections, John, to run him off a layoff. And I believe it was the Irish Guineas, and he just blew away a field of 3-year-olds going 1 mile on the turf earlier this year. He gets injured, so he gets another long layoff. And what do? They bring him back. First time going 1.5 miles, first time going twice around left-hand turns. You have to face an older mare like the Fugue that's in sensational form, defending champ Little Mike, point of entry. I mean, that field, and for him to show the dynamite turn of foot he did, they had him ready, but beyond having him ready, that was a great performance of talent and display of talent by the Magician. So to me, that performance, I mean, he got a 110 brisk number, was one of the best of the weekend. What an impressive training performance by Coolmore. Always dangerous. They know what it takes.
Right.
But Magician, you had to have the talent, and he showed it.
All right, well, we saw a lot of talent at the Breeders' Cup this year, and of course, they're called the championship races for a reason because a lot of times they earn you that year-end championship. So I got some questions for you here.
Yep.
2-year-old fillies. Do you think Rhea Antonio is the 2-year-old champion filly?
I don't. You know, I know she's 30-1 in the Breeders' Cup, and believe me, she was a deserving winner. She was going to go right on by She's a Tiger, in my opinion. But that race was marred. When Secret Compass broke down, John, don't underestimate what it took out of that race from a standpoint that I think it affected Untappable. I think it affected Concave. A lot of fillies that could have put in that closing run, you know, when She's a Tiger was maybe hanging and showing she didn't want to really go that far. I think, to me, a lot of media is going to throw out this performance and the fact that, you know, Rhea Antonio won it. Unless Rhea Antonio comes back and does something special before the end of the year. But for me, She's a Tiger. The full campaign, from the day she broke her maiden by so many lengths, was a rising star. And the fact that she's won a Grade 1, she's been knocking on the door all year in these top races and even going around 2 turns. 2 narrow defeats around 2 turns in Grade 1s. To me, she had the best 2-year-old filly campaign.
All right, 2-year-old colts, Havana, New Year's Day. Who's in the lead?
You know, it might be an East Coast, West Coast voting thing. I mean, Havana might have won the best, you know, race of the year for 2-year-olds. A fair 1-turn mile race over Honor Code. You know, after a triple-digit Byron, his maiden win at Saratoga. Very impressive campaign. Ships across country, comes off Lasix, breaks wide, and still runs second first time around 2 turns. Havana had an impressive year. But for me, New Year's Day, even though he had a maiden win coming in, for him to break through, win the championship race, and he might have racing still to come. I mean, if he runs in the Cash Call Futurity, a Grade 1 at Hollywood, wins that, he definitely gets championship honors, John. Now, if he runs terrible in it, then we'll see. But I still would give the leg up to New Year's Day.
All right, let's just start the debate right here for 3-year-old fillies, because I know this is going to be a heated one, because this is one you and I even disagree on. So let's start it right here, right now. Give me your case. Why Princess of Sylmar?
Well, John, I think we both have very good debates, very good points here. But when I'm comparing two great fillies, Beholder and Princess of Sylmar, both have 4 Grade 1 wins this year. You know, one won the Kentucky Oaks. I think that's important. One won the championship race over older fillies and mares. That's important. So the recency of Beholder's win, to me, is going to be hard to overcome because she did it so dominantly. But when I look at Princess of Sylmar, she had one more stakes win this year overall. To me, that's not that big of a deal. But what was the neutral field win. That Kentucky Oaks win on a neutral field, her coming from New York, Beholder coming from California. I know it was just a nose, but the fact that she proved best that day, to me, that tips the vote just slightly in Princess Sylmar's favor. And the fact that her closing style probably wasn't playing, kind of Santa Anita track last Friday, I think some people are going to take that into account. We didn't see her best race, but she's been so good all year. And look, take nothing away from either one of these fillies. There's no wrong answer here, but I give a slight edge to Princess Sylmar.
All right, for me, it's Beholder, and here's why. If you remember in the Kentucky Oaks, Beholder acted up right before she went in the gate, actually fell down. Joel, she still holds on by a nose of Princess of Sylmar. In the championship race, she dominates that field. She dominates Princess of Sylmar and another filly in there, Royal Delta, a horse that Princess of Sylmar also beat. So for me, I think it goes to Beholder right now.
I wouldn't want to have to vote because I think it's a total toss-up.
All right, well, let's move on then, and let's talk about the 3-year-old colts. You usually see the Kentucky Derby winner has a huge leg up. Do you think that is in effect again this year?
I do, and again, recency voters, people that have fresh results on their mind, are going to want to vote for Will Take Charge. And who knows, Will Take Charge may come back in the Clark against Game On Dude. Certainly, if he wins that race, I think he gets the edge at that point. However, he only has 1 Grade 1 win this year. I know he just got beat by a nose in a thrilling Breeders' Cup Classic. People are going to give him credit for that. But again, looking at the body of work, Orb won the Grade 1 Kentucky Derby impressively, won the Grade 1 Florida Derby, won the Fountain of Youth, 3 major races, 2 major Grade 1 wins, and even in the Travers, coming off a layoff, I thought he was a little short that day. He was 3rd in the Travers and 3rd in another classic in the Belmont. So for me, the full body of work, I give Orb a slight edge right now, but again, it's going to depend on what Will Take Charge does in the Clark.
All right, Joe, before I let you go, we got to talk about the older horses and, of course, Horse of the Year, but let's talk about the older horse division first. You see Wise Dan, another great year. Game On Dude, another great year. But Mucho Macho Man, he's run huge in his last 2 races, including the Classic. Tell me, who do you think's in the lead right now?
Mucho Macho Man is glad as I am, just from a racing fan standpoint, see him finally break through and win 2 Grade 1s his last 2 races. Very deserving horse to be a Grade 1 winner, but he's not in the conversation. In my opinion, Game On Dude, the fact that he was beaten by Mucho Macho Man, that's going to hurt him. To me, I just don't think you can take it away from Wise Dan. And look, this is a January 1, 2013 to December 31st, 2013 discussion. Whatever happened before this year doesn't matter. I don't want to hear people saying, well, I don't want to give it to a grass horse back-to-back years. Erase it from your memory. This is a Horse of the Year debate, only take into account what he did this year. 4 Grade 1 wins, all over the place, at all different racetracks, dominant in the Woodbine Mile, one of the performances of the year in my opinion, returns with some adversity in the Breeders' Cup Mile, still wins in defense of his title. In my opinion, Wise Dan had the best year.
Did he do enough to be back-to-back Horse of the Year?
He is. To me, he's Horse of the Year. Again, from January 1, 2013 to December 31st. Nobody had a better year than Wise Dan.
All right, great year, great racing, a lot of fun, man. It was really fun covering these races with you again.
Man.
Really appreciate it. Hey, thank you guys for watching. We want to thank our sponsor, Spendthrift. We also want to thank Twin Spires, but most of all, we want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next year. We're going to start following the 3-year-olds early 2014.